Got a new hoodie. As y'all can see, I went to the tour. Y'all should have known that. But that has nothing to do with this Black Quarterback series. Do we have 4 MVP cases on our hands? Let's get into it into another regular week of Black Quarterback series. Let's get into it. Hey, if you don't know me, my name is Keith. I do the Black Quarterback series. It was formerly known as Drop the Guide. If you want to sit here and follow my journey, link in the description. It'll be up to this week. I've started to do Saturday videos too, just what I'm thinking. That link will also be up top throughout the video. So let's get into it. What better place to start than Dak Prescott? So let's get his numbers over with. This will probably be a very ranty video because I have a lot to say. I feel like I say that every week now. It's just so much to talk about this season. They won the game. They won the game going away because of the phenomenal third quarter that they had. Now, some people might be like, "Oh, were they really a good team? And were they supposed to be? And all this stuff like that." But it doesn't matter. You beat who in front of you, and whoever you beat in front of you is your record says what you are. They're 3-1. And this is a different type of 3-1, contrary to what Dallas has been the last 4 or 5 years. This is like 2016 where they are playing really well and you believe in them. And the difference between this team and that team is that this team has defensive firepower. I'm completely spacing on his name. But the cornerback for them, I'll put his name up. I'm so sorry that I'm completely spacing on your name right now. 2 turnovers, 2 picks. He has 5 picks this season, and he was one of the driving forces in that third quarter to propel the Cowboys in that third quarter to where they had 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. It was just rocking. They hit the Panthers with a Golden State-esque run, and it was pretty much over from that point. Sam Darnold played well. Shout out to Sam Darnold. I don't talk about him a lot, but shout out to Sam Darnold for proving that it was the Jets. It was the Jets that were bad. That was bad, not him. I'm very impressed with him. I'm so happy that he's done with the Jets and that he's being what he was supposed to be as a top 5 pick. Shout out to him. But so they have a really good balanced game now. The running game is flowing. They got an all-star team. They have an all-star team. They have 3 number 1 receivers and 2 number 1 backs and a decent to good offensive line who could turn back the hands of time and be really, really good. I was thoroughly impressed with Dallas. Dak Prescott is playing at an MVP level right now, more than he was last year before he got injured, and I was like, is he just getting garbage points? No, these are not garbage points that he's getting. He's winning games this year. He threw a pass. I can't remember who it was to. It was either to one of his elite receivers. I put the video up, but he threw it. I think it might have been Amari. He threw it up to Amari, and it dropped right in the bucket. I mean, just right in the bucket. I was so impressed with him. When it left his hands, I was like, touchdown. You knew it was a touchdown when he dropped it in the bucket. Now, Shannon is saying that the Carolina is not very good. I think they're really good. Now they might be up and down. They just lost their first game of the season. We're gonna see how they reply back to adversity. But shout out to Dallas. Really good game. Fought back from adversity, and this team is gonna be dangerous. And, so we go from one end of the spectrum to the other end of the spectrum, from an offense that is just littered with elite talent to an offense that would just love to have one other receiver other than Devontae in the Eagles. So Devontae Smith, former Heisman Trophy winner, was 8 carries, 122 yards. Our guy Jalen, 32 for 48, 387 yards, 2 touchdowns. Now, this offense is awful. We came into the season, I think only had the Eagles having 5 wins. We came into the season knowing that the Eagles were going to have a bad season. We knew this. Everybody knew this. Everybody knew the Eagles were rebuilding, were in transition mode. Everybody knew this already, right? So the fact that they were even in the game with Kansas City tells you something. They were in the game with Kansas City. They had a chance to cut it to 5. They didn't do that, and the game really came down to missed possessions in the red zone. You have to score touchdowns against Kansas City. You can't not score touchdowns and give up touchdowns on the other side. That's a recipe for disaster. Big recipe for disaster. Missed opportunities. They played decent in the first half. The run out of bounds to catch the ball was just awful. They couldn't stop Kansas City's blitz. Every time Kansas City rushed more than 3, it was a sack. So they were just outclassed, outplayed. You could just tell watching the game that the Eagles had nothing for them. But Jalen played well. I wouldn't say Jalen played well enough to win, but he didn't play bad enough to lose either. So they could have got a couple more touchdowns in there. If they'd have got one of the touchdowns when they were in the red zone in the first half, and if they'd have got the touchdown in the fourth quarter when Deuce stepped out instead of coming back in and running, well, it still wouldn't have mattered. But if he didn't go out of bounds at all, you might have a different conversation. But I don't think it would have mattered. Patrick Mahomes was being Patrick Mahomes. 24 for 30, 278 yards. 5 touchdowns and interception. Kelsey had over 100 yards. Allaire had over 100 yards rushing. It was the whole, just on my sheet I have mini light show, but looking at the numbers, it was a light show. So I might just give you guys the box score because there was so much going on. So going to Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes, like I said, Patrick Mahomes was just phenomenal. He's Patrick Mahomes. Didn't look sharp early. Didn't look sharp early, which is why he had the interception. They didn't score on plays I think they should have scored on. But when they did score, they scored on the same little underhand play twice. Like, if I can find it, I'm gonna show it. They literally ran the same play twice. One just went to the other side, and the other one was a little more under. It was a little more rappy. That's awful football terminology, but I don't know the terminology. And I was just like, how y'all scoring the same play twice? It was like on Madden when you use the cheese play that they can't stop. So, but yeah. So that's Kansas City. It was Kansas City. You had to know that they was going to bounce back after a bad loss last week, and that's that game. It was a good game. Don't let the score fool you. It was still a really decent game for me anyway, because I like both of them guys. I said last week that I think Jalen might be a career backup, but I want to see what happens when Jalen gets talent around him. Because you see what happened in Oklahoma, and you see what happened at Alabama before he got benched for Tua. I would love to see what happens when he gets real NFL talent around him, real offensive line. He needs a Greg Roman type that can cater an offense around him. Whoever Tim Tebow had coaching him, not Urban Meyer, but you need that type of guy in the building for Jalen. Because Jalen is that type of guy. Like I always say, he's not Lamar and he's not Kyler. He's like a great value version of both of them. So if you can get a guy that coached one of these dynamic guys, you go do that. So yeah, shout out to Jalen. You'll get better. It's going to be a rough season, but I think you'll get better. Because you can look at Kyler Murray and see how he developed and use that as a blueprint. As a soft blueprint, because they're not the same player. Speaking of Kyler Murray, if he's not in your MVP conversation, then you're just not watching football right now. So, Kyler Murray, 24 for 32, 268 yards, 2 touchdowns. Chase Edwards had 12 carries, 120 yards, and it was never close. They got out to a 21-10 lead, and the Rams were fighting back the whole game, and they just could never get the stops. They could never get the stops. They could never get what they needed. Kyler Murray's just touring with them. Now, you kind of want to take this with a grain of salt because this is a divisional game, and all divisional games are different. I remember as the Rams, when we was like 0-12, we beat Dallas one year. You know what I mean? And 49ers beat us one year, and we was better than them. So divisional games are kind of weird. I know I said Dallas, but I say that to say that any given Sunday, I still think the Rams are the best team in football. But if this is a major statement for Kyler Murray and the Cardinals, you talking about possibly having a coach of the year and the MVP. When I didn't think that I forgot his name, the coach of the Cardinals. You thinking the coach of the Cardinals was going to get fired at the end of the year? You're thinking about coach of the year considerations, because I think if they keep winning, and don't let them win, if they win this division, Kyler Murray is going to be the MVP. Kyler Murray is going to be the MVP, point blank, period. There's nothing even to say. There's nothing even to say to this, but he has some fierce competitors in his division for sure. His division is also the NFC West, and the NFC West is where we would find Russell Wilson and Trey Lance. So, and they both played each other because, like I said earlier this season, the only way Trey Lance was going to get into the game is if Garoppolo got hurt. What do you know? Garoppolo got hurt. So Trey Lance got to play last week. He was 9 for 18, 157 yards, 2 touchdowns. You can tell just by his playing style. He kind of reminds me of Lamar Jackson when he first came in the league. Not really sure what he wants to do. Not really, you can see the talent, but just not really sure what he wants to do. Raw prospect, obviously. Super duper raw. Like, you can super duper. The talent is there. The structure is just not there yet. It was a couple plays where he was just patting the ball, and he just ran off, and it just fell on the ground. He hit the first down, and I'm just like, that can be coached out of him. I think the mechanics looks great, but he's just an extremely raw prospect, and he did well. Speaking of raw prospects, that's where we also get our other rookie, Trey Lance's rookie mate, Justin Fields. We get his rookie mate, Justin Fields, and Justin Fields played the Lions. So take that with a grain of salt. So he played for the Lions. He played against the Lions. He was 11 for 17, 209 yards and an interception. He also had a running back. That was 23 carries, 126 yards, 2 touchdowns. His name is David Montgomery. I don't mean to say the running back, but his name is David Montgomery. He also had a receiver that did pretty well. I didn't think that he was gonna have a receiver that played well. Darnell Mooney. I'm gonna have to take a look at Darnell Mooney. 5 receptions, 125 yards. So now, granted, they played the Lions, but this is NFL talent. So what I saw is Justin Fields being very game manager. He didn't do too much. And Nagy finally drew up a game plan for him to where he didn't get killed every play. Good run game, nothing too crazy. Just easing them in slowly, really slowly. We see what happens next week when they play the Packers. So the Packers is a difficult job. Really, really difficult job. But obviously what's not a difficult job is beating our guy, Teddy Bridgewater, who left the Broncos-Ravens game with a concussion. He left the game with 7 for 16, 65 yards and a touchdown. So they was playing well. They were playing well. I think it was going to be a highly contested game up until he got hurt to that point. But Lamar said that's not happening. We haven't talked about Lamar a lot this year, other than when he was the cover athlete for that week and he hurt his shoulder, or he hurt his side. Well, it was his hip. Hurt his hip. He was 22 for 37, 316 yards, and a touchdown. They got off to a really good start. But only ended up scoring 6 points through the rest of the game, the second half. They scored 17 points in the first half. Like, I'm not understanding why are the Ravens having a tough time scoring in the second half. Lamar played well. He's shattering the mold this year. He's shattering the mold this year. They said he couldn't throw us out the numbers. I saw him throw us out the numbers all game yesterday. Said he couldn't run the offense. He ran offense yesterday. They said he can't come back from deficits. He's came back from deficits this year. Lamar is going to be dangerous. Lamar is playing like a $50 million guy. Now, that's crazy to even think about a guy getting paid. To think about a guy getting paid $50 million to throw a football. But I think Lamar might be the first $50 million athlete. He's playing like he is Baltimore right now. He is the Ravens right now. And with the way he's playing, he's getting better every year. Better every year. That throw outside the numbers that he made yesterday, he was not able to make that last year. And I love that Greg Roman has scaled back on the running plays. Greg Roman has scaled back on the running plays, giving them more plays, more play action plays, instead of just overall we're gonna run powers. And he runs when he has to. Just excellent play by Lamar. I just need to see that in the second half. You can't play well in the first half and then not show up in the second half. And I don't know if they changed their defense or what they're doing, but this has been a growing theme for the last 2 games. So I need Lamar to get better in the second half. Other than that, great game by Lamar. Just keep getting better, bro. And sidebar, not really a sidebar because it's about Lamar. The refs are doing to Lamar the same thing they did to Cam for tens of years. Just because he's a running quarterback does not mean that he should not get the protection that a Tom Brady would get. Because if Tom Brady was getting those hits that Lamar had, I'm going to show y'all some of these hits, that he could have twisted his whole ankle up on this play. If Lamar doesn't get those calls, Tom Brady shouldn't get those calls. Just because he's a running quarterback does not mean that he shouldn't get calls. Guys falling all over him and stuff. Now, when he's a runner, that's different. But when he's in the pocket, like there was three times I saw that he should have got a roughing the passer call. He didn't get it. Make the better calls, ref. Make better calls. Real quick, we're gonna go to the Jacoby Brissett game. Didn't play as well as he did last week. 20 for 30, 199 yards, 2 touchdowns. He should have thrown 3 interceptions. Some of those picks, the coach just dropped. And I got Carson Wentz played well. He played well. Game was never close. Even with the 2 touchdowns Jacoby had, they were like towards the end when the game was already well over. So decent game by Jacoby. Good job holding the fort down. I never think Jacoby's going to be anything special, but I have to talk about him as an honorable mention. And so our last guy of the day is somebody who finally did what I've been wanting him to do all year, for like the whole month. Russell Wilson, 16 for 23, 144 yards, 2 touchdowns. Finally showed up in the second half. Divisional game. It was in a divisional game, of course. They maintained the lead and added to the lead the second half. Like, they haven't been doing that. Like, Russell Wilson could easily be undefeated. Just as easily be undefeated if they would have just shown up in the second half. They have big first quarter leads, and they just keep giving up leads. So, shout out to Russell Wilson. He played well. Played well yesterday. I don't think I really have anything else to say about Russ. Russ did what he was supposed to do. Russ played like Russ yesterday. His numbers don't show it, but he played like Russ yesterday. So yeah. So that's all I got for y'all. Good week of football, as usual. Stay tuned for more videos this week. Probably come out with a couple more videos. This video itself will be chopped up into sections because I see that you guys like the smaller sections. So I'm probably going to chop this video up into smaller consumable pieces, but I want to get all the food out to y'all at once. So with that being said, it's Black Quarterback Central. Y'all have a good week. And be on the lookout for some highlights for this on my second channel. Second channel link will be at the end card. Peace.